ठीक है
सर सब्जेक्ट नहीं है
क्या बेटा?
सर 11th 12th में तो नहीं है सर सब्जेक्ट, सर मैंने कॉमर्स लिया है ना इसलिए।
Okay, no problem. If you would have taken humanities, so उसमें भी choice होता है, either you can take history, political science, or you have sociology or other subjects. Okay, so we will start with prehistoric period. So first of all, history अगर आप देखेंगे is divided into two parts. One is prehistoric and the second is protohistoric. Now, what is prehistoric? When there was no writing system. और राइटिंग सिस्टम डेवलप नहीं हुआ था, तब को हम बोलते हैं प्री हिस्टोरिक. ओके, एंड नो रिटन रिकॉर्ड्स आर अवेलेबल, सो ऑल आवर नॉलेज ऑफ प्री हिस्टोरिक पीरियड इज डिपेंडेंट ऑन आर्कियोलॉजिकल एविडेंसेस. जो भी बोन, स्केलेटल, फॉसिल्स हमें मिलते हैं उसके अकॉर्डिंगली हम उसे स्टडी करते हैं. एंड देन उसमें भी देयर आर सर्टेन मेथड्स बाय व्हिच वी कैलकुलेट द एज. द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट इज carbon dating. ठीक है, if you know the answers, just keep on adding something to the content. Okay, and archaeological remains like उस जमाने के पत्थर के tools, pottery, artifacts, metal implements. Okay, then कुछ famous sites हैं इंडिया में, Soan Valley, and then you have the Mehergarh in it's situated in near Afghanistan border. Shivalik Hills in northern India, Bhimbetka in Madhya Pradesh. Bhimbetka has very beautiful Neolithic paintings. Okay, अब हिस्ट्री में भी अगर आप देखेंगे स्टोन एज की अगर हम बात करें, so stone age again is divided into three parts: Paleolithic, Mesolithic and Neolithic. मैं यहाँ लिख देता हूँ. हाँ आप रख लेना, ठीक है. ओके, so stone age is divided into three parts. First, Paleolithic. Second, Mesolithic. And third, Neolithic. Now, Paleolithic means old Stone Age, Mesolithic means middle Stone Age, and Neolithic is new Stone Age. Now, during the Paleolithic Stone Age, you can say that man or the early man is still kind of belongs to the category of apes, but he has started developing the brain size. He has started developing, you can say, he's started using stone tools, but they are still very primitive. Now, middle Stone Age is the transition age. Okay, and Neolithic is the age by the time he develops the skills of making stone tools. There are two different kinds of techniques for making stone tools. One is stone on stone, and the other one is flaking, where you flake some parts. जैसे pencil अगर कभी हम knife से sharp करें, तो we flake some parts, and then these are the two techniques of using stone tools.
So what is Paleolithic?
The Paleolithic is old Stone Age.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, no problem. Okay. So, but history में ना देखना एक चीज हमेशा याद रखना, that transition does not happen. ऐसा नहीं है कि जैसे Paleolithic Stone Age खत्म होगा Mesolithic शुरू हो जाएगा, या Mesolithic खत्म होगा Neolithic शुरू हो जाएगा. ट्रांजिशन रहेगा. कुछ एरियाज में डेवलपमेंट जल्दी होगा, कुछ में it will take time. Okay, so basically hunter-gatherer society hai. Food was obtained by hunting animals and gathering edible plants and tubers. They used stone tools, which used to be like hand axe, okay, and flaked off large pebbles for hunting animals. So just sharp pieces nikalte the after flaking, they were used as tip for spears. Stone implements are made of hard rock called quartzite. Language and communication इस time पे नहीं पता है. We are talking about the Paleolithic age. But slowly and gradually you will see that apes will get down from the trees and will start living off the land. अगर आप monkeys वगैरह को देखें या आपने apes को देखा होगा, they have hands folded like this. Their fingers are attached to each other because they need a grip for hanging. But if you will look at humans, this is called the dexterity of the hand. Those who are in the online class, can they see me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so ये dexterity of the hands कैसे आया है? Now, by if you see, we do not have a you can say holding grip. We have a precision grip. Like we hold a pen. जैसे छोटा बच्चा अगर देखेंगे तो जब पेन पकड़ता है, so he writes like this. But slowly and gradually you get the precision. So our hands are made for precision. That's why our fingers are much separated from each other. But if you look at your feet, you will have smaller fingers but a longer, you can say, base. Why do you have that? Because it has developed. अगर आप animals में, monkeys में देखेंगे, चारों almost same होते हैं. But why humans have smaller fingers in their feet? Because we don't use them. So this is evolution. Okay, let's look at the characteristic features of Mesolithic age. Paintings and engravings are found at the rock shelters. So now they have started painting what they are experiencing, what they are feeling. So they are saving it for the future generation as well. The hunting gathering pattern continued. So now they are doing the mix. They are foraging in the forest as well as doing the hunting gathering. Now the shift from big animal hunting to small ones and fishing, stone tools are found. Stone artifacts are also found called microliths. Now you will see that the size of stone tools is reducing. They are becoming more precise, more accurate. The use of bow and arrow began in this period. That means they are using those flakes as spear tips. Tend to settle for long periods in an area. Now, instead of moving from one area to another, they are settling for a longer period of time in one area. देखिए इसमें ये shift जो है ना, this is the shifting age. When you do agriculture, you cannot move from one place to another. You have to stay with your crops. So that is what in the Neolithic age will happen. So the Mesolithic age is between 10,000 BCE to 6,000 BCE, but this is not exact. In some areas, Neolithic age began in the period of 9,000 BCE. Now, do you know what is BCE? Yes, before Christ. So this is basically a system of timing or timeline. How do we calculate? So you can say that we have a common point of reference, that is the birth of Christ. So we make it 0. Anything before this is before Christ, and this is anything after it is AD. Now what is AD? Anno Domini. Anno Domini is after his crucifixion. Then animal bones are found in these sites, which include dog, deer, boar, and ostrich. Occasionally, burials have also been found. That means now they are developing a sense of religion. And in many Mesolithic sites, we have seen that with the dead, their things were put in. Okay, ताकि उन्हें next life में, so they also developed the concept of life after death. Neolithic age 6,000 BCE till 4,000 BCE. That it may vary. कश्मीर वैली में कुछ sites हैं, जैसे कि गुफक्रान है, चिरांद in बिहार, बेलान वैली in UP, several places in Deccan में हमें Neolithic sites मिलती है, from where we can ascertain the fact that people started agriculture. And Gordon Childe, there is a historian, Gordon Childe, he called Neolithic age as the revolution. He called it as a Neolithic revolution. Why he called it as a revolution? Because now human beings will start the practice of agriculture, and this will lead to a lot many changes. जब आप agriculture करेंगे, अभी तक आप क्या कर रहे थे? Hunting gathering, खाना मिल गया, खा लिया, नहीं तो ढूंढ रहे हैं. But now when you are practicing agriculture, you will have surplus. You will also require food material, so you will also start domestication of animals. यानी जानवर पालने शुरू कर दिए. During this time, they also started domesticating dogs. Now dogs come from the wolves. उसका भी एक तरीका होता है कि जो ज्यादा aggressive है उनको मार देते थे, जो थोड़े मॉडरेट होते थे उन्हें रखते थे. सो स्लोली एंड ग्रेजुअली अगर आप देखें तो गाय सींग नहीं मारती है, पर बैल या सांड है वो मारता है. सो दे आर मोर एग्रेसिव एंड द काउ हाउ दे हैव कम इनटू बीइंग बिकॉज हम उनका जो एग्रेसिव जनरेशन थे वो खत्म करते गए. सो जेनेटिकली वी मेक देम लेस एग्रेसिव. Okay, you understand? Are you getting the point? So they also started domesticating animals like dogs and cows and cattle for milk and meat. Then one more important thing is that you will, to store food grains or to cook food grains, you will require, what do you require to store food grains? Yes, for storage, you will see now they will start developing pottery. तो बर्तन बनाना शुरू करेंगे ताकि उसमें चीजों को पका सकें या स्टोर करके रख सकें. So that is why Gordon Child called Neolithic age as revolution. So cultivation of plants and domestication of animals led to, and then you started settling in one place. So security के लिए 3-4 families they started settling together in one place, and it lead to emergence of villages or village communities based on sedentary life. Initially mud brick houses, और उससे पहले भी अगर घर देखेंगे, so there were pit houses. Now what were pit houses? कि जमीन के नीचे गड्ढा खोद के रहते थे. Then slowly mud brick houses were built. Wheels were used to make pottery. So two very important, you can say, discovery of the Neolithic age is, one is fire, use of fire, and the second one is use of wheel for making pottery. Pottery was used for cooking as well as storage of food grains, as we already discussed. The main crops were wheat, barley, rice, millet. Domestication of sheep, goat, and cattle for meat and milk purpose. Cattle were also used for transportation. Now wheel is also being used for making wheels for an ox cart. So transportation bhi ho raha hai. They also started making or weaving cloths made of cotton and wool. So you can say this is a revolution from the earlier age. Now man is becoming more civilized. Yes, civilization ki taraf move kar raha hai. Improvement in technology of making tools and other equipment. Stone tools were now polished for hunting and cutting trees. Okay. Then we have Chalcolithic age. Now metal age is starting. The man has acquired the use of fire, so he will learn the art of smelting the ore and then making metal out of it. So सबसे पहले जो metal उसने use किया, that was you can say a mix of copper and tin. So what is the alloy? Okay, so copper, bronze, yes. So they started using bronze for the first time. Technology develops of smelting metal ore and crafting metal objects out of it. As I said, as I told you. But abhi bhi stone tools use ho rahe hain, and apart from stone tools, they also used to use bones and you can say the ivory of animals. Okay, people began to travel for a long distance. Now you can see that it's not necessary कि जो भी metal आपको चाहिए वो आपके immediate area में हो. So they started expeditions. They started moving from place to place, searching for those metals, ores, and they used to bring it to the site and then do the smelting out of it and make it make tools out of it. Okay, and the first Chalcolithic culture which is found in India is Harappan culture. Several bronze and copper objects, terracotta figurines, and potteries were also found in other parts of India. We'll come back to the Iron Age later because that starts in 6th century BC. Now let's start with the Harappan civilization. The Harappan civilization is one of the ancient civilization in the world. The other three are, do you know what are the other three? Yes, those who are online. Other three ancient civilizations. Okay, Egypt, you have heard of Egyptian civilization, then Mesopotamian civilization and the Chinese civilization. Okay, and one thing is particular that all the civilizations will be situated on the banks of certain river. Okay, in case of Egyptian it is Nile, in case of Mesopotamia it is Tigris and Euphrates, in case of China it is Yellow River, and in case of India it is Indus River. Okay. Okay, the earliest excavation in Indus Valley were done at Harappa in the West Punjab and Mohenjo-daro in Sindh. So it has three phases: pre-Harappan stage, which stretches from 3300 to 2700 BC. Then the pre-Harappan stage is, you can say, Mehergarh. As I was telling, Neolithic villages the Mehergarh mein, and nomadic people began to lead a settled agricultural life. And then you have the early Harappan stage or pre-Harappan stage. So here it has divided into two parts, but you have only one pre-Harappan stage, starting from Mehergarh and then continuing onwards. Okay. Then you have the mature Harappan phase, which is from 2700 BCE. You can write that in front of that, mature Harappan stage. Yeah, it's almost the same. Like early Harappan phase starts from Mehergarh. Mehergarh was the Neolithic site in that area, and slowly and gradually more people started settling over there and then moving on to other parts. Okay. और अर्ली हड़प्पन में भी या प्री हड़प्पन में भी हम ना कल्चर्स में डिवाइड करते हैं, लाइक आमरी, कोट दीजी. देयर आर 4 कल्चर्स, बट यू डोंट हैव टू रिमेंबर देम. यू कैन रिमेंबर 2 मेन कल्चर्स, व्हिच इज आमरी एंड कोट दीजी. तो उसमें भी उनकी पॉटरी में डिफरेंस है, उनके जो स्ट्रक्चर्स हैं, जो एरिया जो उन्होंने जिसमें रह रहे हैं उसमें डिफरेंस है. देन यू हैव मैच्योर हड़प्पन स्टेज. नाउ दिस स्ट्रेचेस फ्रॉम 2700 BC to 1900 BC. Okay, you can write that. So this was the time when great cities emerged. और अगर आप compare करेंगे Indus Valley civilization को किसी भी ancient civilization से, तो the sites are huge. मतलब बहुत बड़े-बड़े शहर हैं इस टाइम पे. Late Harappan stage is from 1900 BC onwards, जब decline होना शुरू हो जाता है Harappan Valley civilization का. Okay. Important sites: Kot Diji in Sindh, Kalibangan, Ropar in Punjab, Banawali in Haryana, Lothal in Gujarat, Dholavira in Gujarat. So, and there are more than 1500 sites which are spread over the northwestern part of the Indian subcontinent. Okay. इसके कुछ फीचर्स देख लेते हैं. सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट फीचर इस सिविलाइजेशन का था टाउन प्लानिंग. नाउ दिस साइट और दिस सिविलाइजेशन इज, you can say, an inspiration even today for the town planners. जो भी शहर बने होते थे, they were on the grid system. You know, if we talk about the grid system, okay, grid system is where you can say lines are cutting across each other. Streets and lanes used to cut across each other at right angles. जैसा आज की डेट में आपका स्क्वायर में होता है, that you have streets like cutting each other at right angles, dividing the city into several rectangular blocks. Harappan, Mohenjo-daro and Kalibangan, इसमें भी अगर आप देखेंगे, the city was divided into 2 parts. One was the citadel and the other was the lower town. Okay, now what is citadel? Citadel होता था upper city और acropolis, यानी कि एक ऐसा part of the city जो बाकी city से ऊपर होता था. Now only the rich and the wealthy people used to live in the acropolis or the upper town. Okay, yes, citadel में. Whereas the lower town, rest of the people used to live in the lower town there, which were inhabited by the common people. Okay. And then citadel also had granaries. Now what are granaries? Granaries are places where they used to store their food grains. So there was surplus. अगर कहीं पे भी granaries हैं या food store करने की जगह है, इसका मतलब क्या है? That they had surplus agricultural production. Important characteristics, the large scale use of burnt bricks, यानी they had the technique of making bricks, mud bricks नहीं बना रहे हैं बल्कि burnt bricks, clay bricks, जैसे आज की डेट में आपके घर पे ईंटें होती होंगी या देखी होंगी कंस्ट्रक्शन साइट्स में. So they are using those bricks which are in a ratio of 4:3:2. So same size के bricks all over the हमें Indus Valley civilization मिलती है. Another remarkable feature was the underground drainage system, and in Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, every house had a drain. हर घर से एक नाली निकलती थी या ड्रेनेज सिस्टम है जो जाके स्ट्रीट में मेन ड्रेन से जुड़ जाएगा, and then the main drain will take away all the things to the out of the city. So cleanliness का बहुत ध्यान रखा हुआ है. One of the great structure which has been found at Mohenjo-daro is the Great Bath, which measures 39 feet length, 23 feet in breadth, and 8 feet depth. So which is a very huge structure. So ये कभी जैसे हम होता है गुरुद्वारे में या कहीं पे नदी में नहाने जाते हैं किसी इवेंट पे या ओकेजन पे. So it is part of that. The floor of the bath was made of burnt bricks and it was waterproof with gypsum. उसे पूरा waterproof कर रखा है. Economic life की अगर हम बात करें, so there was much progress in all spheres of economic activities such as agriculture. बहुत सारी जगह industry है, and craft and trade. Wheat and barley were the main crops which were grown besides sesame, mustard, and cotton. Granaries were used for storage, as we have discussed. Animals like sheep, goats, and buffalo were domesticated. But अभी horse का use नहीं हुआ है. Horse will be domesticated by the Aryans. जब Aryans आएंगे इंडिया में तब आएगा horses. A number of other animals were hunted for food. Trade, foreign trade was very important, and they had trade relations with Central Asia and Mesopotamia. बहुत सारी semi precious stones जो industry में use होते थे, they were imported. So you can say that ऐसा हम बोलते हैं कि Harappa and Mohenjo-daro या Indus Valley civilization was not ruled by a king or a priest, but it was ruled by a class of merchants, because it is a economic based, you can say, civilization. पूरा जो चीजें हैं वो trade पे based है. Main exports were the agricultural products like wheat, barley, peas, oil seeds, and finished goods like cotton goods, pottery, beads, terracotta figures, and ivory products. Okay, so they used to bring raw material in the civilization, and then they used to make finished products of it, and then used to sell in the market far off. Okay, there is evidence of trade between the Indus and the Sumerian people, because many seals of Indus Valley have been found in Mesopotamia, and many seals of Mesopotamia have been found in Indus Valley civilization. So this shows us the connection between the two civilizations. Trade at that point of time was of the barter type, but there are evidences that seals may have also been used for trade. Okay, seal पता है क्या होती है? Have you seen any? Otherwise, I can show you. Okay, these are the seals which were used by the Harappans. Okay. So इसमें देखिए आपको एक बहुत common animal दिखेगा, वो है humped bull, which is found in many parts of India. Then you also have certain figures which like one-horned rhinoceros, and the seal is of the proto Shiva. अभी हम जब religion पे आएंगे तब हम proto Shiva की बात करेंगे. Now this is the first आदि योगी, या अभी भी हम शिवा को follow करते हैं. So ये उसी का एक मतलब you can say early रूप है, जिसमें he is in the position of meditation, sitting in the yogic posture with a crown over his head and surrounded by the animals. So इसे historians ने बोला है पशुपति नाथ. Okay. Okay, the seals and the terracotta models of the Indus Valley reveal the use of bullock carts and oxen for land transport, and they also used rivers for, you can say, water transport. Social life, the dresses were consisting of two pieces of cloth, one upper garment and lower garment. Beads, or you can say beads, पता ना क्या होते हैं, जिससे माला बनती है. So they were worn by men and women both. Jewelry बहुत common है और बहुत evidence मिलता है ज्वेलरी का. अभी जो प्रोटो शिवा देखा था उसमें भी उसके हाथ में बैंगल्स थी. Similarly, bronze statues हमें मिलेंगे like dancing girl. I'll also show you the dancing girl. So this is the bronze statue of the dancing girl. Now, if you look at it carefully, at that point of time, making a statue of bronze in bronze or metal of such fine quality. Now, if you look at the statue, the one hand is rested on her hips. So this is a kind of a dance posture where the woman is standing like this, and she has bangles in her hand, and she has anklets in her right hand. She is wearing a necklace with beads. Okay, so this is one of the most, you can say, important finding of the Harappan civilization, because we got to know their technology of or refined status of their metallurgy. Beads were worn by men and women both, and there were many jewelry such as bangles, bracelets, fillets, girdles, anklets, earrings, and finger rings were worn by women. Ornaments were made of gold, silver, bronze, copper, and semi-precious stones. Use of cosmetic was known. We have also found seals depicting different kind of hairstyles which were used by women. Okay. Spindles, needles, combs, fish hook, knives are made of copper. Now, spindles and needles are used for weaving cloth. Children's toys included little clay carts, marbles, balls, and dice. Fishing was a regular occupation, while hunting and bullfighting were other pastimes. Script. Now, the script is written from right to left, and it is a pictographic script. Okay, even the Mesopotamian script is pictographic, but because the tablets that we have found in Mesopotamia are in very large numbers, so we have been able to decipher that script, whereas we have not been able to decipher the Harappan script. इसलिए हमें अभी भी बहुत कुछ नहीं मालूम है हड़प्पन सिविलाइजेशन के बारे में, क्योंकि हम उनकी राइटिंग को डिसाइफर नहीं कर पाए हैं. ओके. Religion, Pashupatinath, the chief male deity, and there is also the cult of mother goddess. ठीक है, mother goddess में दिखाया हुआ है that there is a plant coming out of a woman, so which symbolizes fertility. That was another important aspect of Indus Valley civilization. Other than that, we have also found the male sexual organ as a deity and the female organic part. So आज की डेट में भी ये अगर आप मंदिर जाएंगे तो आप देखोगे वहां पे वो होता है, शिवलिंग होता है. So that is the union of Shiva and Shakti, or the union of male and female. So वो उतने टाइम से कंटिन्यू होता आ रहा है. That tradition, or you can say many aspects of Hindu religion even today have been taken from Indus Valley civilization, or were part of the Indus Valley civilization. Burial methods, complete burial and post cremation were popular at Mohenjo-daro. तो हमने burial pits मिले हैं जहां पे dead body को burial pit में डाल दिया जाता था with her belongings or his belongings. However, there is no clear evidence for the practice of sati. That is not to be concerned with. Now, decline of the Harappan culture. There is no clear evidence regarding the cause for the decline of the Harappan culture. बहुत सारी theories हैं. एक सबसे common theory जो बोली जाती है वो ये that invasion of Aryans, कि सेंट्रल एशिया से आर्यंस आए, उन्होंने यहाँ पे लड़ाई हुई और उसकी वजह से इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन खत्म हो गई. But then there is a gap of 400 years between the decline of the civilization and in the coming of the Aryans. तो वो थ्योरी बिल्कुल बकवास है. The theories which can up to an extent explain the decline of the Indus Valley civilization is that it can be because of the change in the course of the river. Okay, कि river ने अपना course change कर लिया जो हर साल river करती है. So because of that वो area dry हो गया और या river बहुत ज्यादा flood कर गई. So you would have studied or you might study that there were walls around the cities. ठीक है, चाहे वो मोहनजोदाड़ो है, कालीबंगन है, ढोलावीरा है, हर सिटी में हमें ना दीवारें मिली हैं. तो कई लोग ये बोलते हैं कि these walls are for the protection from enemies, whereas many others say that these are for the protection from floods. कि जब नदी में पानी ज्यादा बढ़ जाएगा तो उससे बचने के लिए, उसे रोकने के लिए है. So that is because natural calamities are the best explanation for the decline of Indus Valley civilization, like recurring floods, drying up of rivers, decreasing fertility of the soil due to excessive exploitation, and occasional earthquakes. But कोई fixed reason हमें नहीं मालूम है. Invasion, according to some scholars.
Invasion of the Aryans and the emergence of Aryans is like after 400 years.
Yes.
So we cannot anywhere relate the.
Yes, that is what, but still, even the rest of the arguments are right up to an extent. But आप ये सोचो कि चलो ठीक है, environmental degradation हुआ या drying up of rivers हुआ, तो वो किसी एक part में होगा. How the whole civilization. मैंने वही बोला, that is the most justified answer, but उसमें भी एक clause ये उठता है that how it happened in the whole of the subcontinent. पूरा civilization कैसे खत्म हो गया. Okay, so another reason given by historian is that there was some lack of trade or something like that. That's why they shifted somewhere else. Yes. Okay. और हाँ, कुछ स्कॉलर्स का ये मानना है कि बहुत सारी जगह ना हमें बहुत सारा ह्यूमन स्केलेटन्स एक जगह मिला है, द डिस्कवरी ऑफ ह्यूमन स्केलेटन्स. सो वो हमें एक आइडिया या वो स्कॉलर्स यूज करते हैं जस्टिफाई करने के लिए आर्यन इन्वेजन को, कि उन्होंने मार दिया होगा आके. ओके, the Aryans had superior weapons as well as they had horses because they were coming from the Central Asia. आज भी अगर आप देखेंगे the best horses are found in Central Asia. Okay. Now coming on to Vedic period, the cities of Harappan culture had declined by 1900 BC. Max to max 1700 BC तक Harappa decline हो चुका है. The Vedic civilization starts from 1500 BCE. Now this was the period when the Aryans entered the northwest India from the Central Asia. That is why if you see, and ऐसा नहीं है कि वो सिर्फ इंडिया आए, they also many waves went to other parts of the world, like Europe चली गई, कुछ Central Asia से आगे चली गई. Some of the waves of the Aryans came to India. That's why you have Indo-Aryan group of languages like German, English, Italian, French, Hindi, Sanskrit. They have very common words, right? So that is because they all belong to the group of Indo-Aryan languages. Initially, India में आने के बाद they settled in the northwestern part of the India because that is the entrance. So they settled in the Punjab, but Punjab on the part in the part of Pakistan. So which was known as Sapt Sindhu. आपने सुना होगा why Punjab is called Punjab? Yes.
So because it has 5 rivers.
Yes, because it has 5 rivers. Now the name comes from the Ab. Ab means a land which is between the 2 rivers. Okay, or the land drained by rivers is Ab. So Doab and Punjab. Now Doab is the land drained by 2 rivers and Punjab is the land drained by 5 rivers. That rivers are Chenab, Ravi, Jhelum, Beas and Satluj. Okay, so initially they settled in the northwestern plains of the Punjab and later on they moved to the Gangetic plains, but वो बहुत बाद में होगा, that will be in the later Vedic age. So different scholars again have identified different regions as the original home of the Aryans, like Arctic region, Germany, Central Asia and southern Russia. and they came to India around 1500 BC. The word Veda is derived from the word Vid, which means to know, to gain knowledge. Okay, there are 4 Vedas. Rig Veda is the earliest, and it consists of 1028 hymns, which are sung in the praise of various gods. Yajur Veda consists of various details of rules to be observed at the time of sacrifice. So इसमें sacrifices हैं. Samved is includes music and chanting during sacrifice. It's a book of chants, and origin of Indian music can also be traced from Samved. Atharved contains details of rituals and sacrifices. Okay. Now Vedas also have interpolation. यानी कि अगर हम ऋग्वेदा की बात करें तो वो 10 मंडल में divided है. Now it is divided into 10 parts, but the first and the 10th are the latest edition. समझते हैं इंटरपोलेशन क्या होता है कि उसका जो 4th मंडल है वो सबसे पहले लिखा गया, बाकी जो बाद में ऐड ऑन करते गए वो उसके आगे पीछे ऐड किया है. Okay, so first and the 10th are the latest, the 4th is the oldest, and 2nd to 7th are the written much before the 1st and the 10th. Similarly, आप देखोगे कि रामायण और महाभारत में भी when Ramayana was originally written, it only had 6000 shlokas, but finally उसमें 24000 श्लोक्स हैं. महाभारत की अगर हम बात करें, it started with 24000 shlokas, but अब आप फाइनल जब compilation देखेंगे, it is Shuddh Sahasri Samhita, which means 1 lakh shlokas. Okay, from 24,000 they kept on adding to it, and finally when it was compiled, तो Indian history में हम ये भी बोलते हैं that Indians do not have a sense of time or space. तो कहीं पे भी ना अभी अगर आप देखेंगे ऋग्वेदा बहुत पहले लिख दिया गया है, but it used to be transferred orally, कि जिसको knowledge होती थी वो बोलता था, दूसरा आदमी सुन के याद कर लेता था. It was very late that written work will start doing by the Indian Vedic people. So basically they do not have any sense of history. Okay. Then you also have other, like to understand Vedas, you have Brahmanas, and you also required Vedangas like grammar, rhetoric, Jyotish or astronomy. Okay, so these also had to be studied in order to understand the Vedas. Then you had Upanishads, which are philosophical texts dealing with the topics like the soul and the absolute mysteries of the nature. Upanishads को हम Vedantas भी बोलते हैं. There are 108 Upanishads. Now why are they called Vedantas? Because they were written at the end of the Vedas. मतलब last में लिखे गए हैं, इसलिए they are also known as Vedantas. Then we have 2 epics or Mahakavya, Ramayana and Mahabharata. The author of Ramayana was Maharishi Valmiki, and that of Mahabharata was Ved Vyas. Now देखिए, जब भी किसी सोसाइटी को समझें, चाहे वो इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन है या फिर वो वैदिक सिविलाइजेशन है या फिर हम अभी आएंगे मौर्यन एम्पायर पे, so we look at different aspects of the society. So the main aspects are, first of all you can say polity, और उसका political organization कैसा था. Then you have the society, समाज कैसा है. You have religion, क्या religious views हैं लोगों के, कैसे follow करते हैं. You have the economy, so polity, society, religion, economy. Okay, these are the main aspects. कभी भी किसी भी society को study करना है, you will have to look at these aspects. Okay. Okay, so as we have discussed, Rigvedic age from 1500 BC to 1000 BCE, जिस time में आपके 4 वेद लिखे गए, Vedantas और Brahmanas लिखे गए, and Upanishads लिखे गए. Now looking at the political, as Sapt Sindhu पढ़ लो, these include the 5 rivers of Punjab, Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Byas and Satluj, along with Indus and Saraswati. Political organization, कुल या family जो होती थी वो basic unit है politics की या family की. Then you have village और grama. Okay, तो बहुत सारे कुल मिलके क्या बनाते हैं, ग्राम, village. बहुत सारी families मिलके village बनाएंगी. Village जो हैं, they will form, and many villages will form a clan. ओके आज भी हम देखिए अगर हम बोले जैसे कि यू माइट नॉट बी अवेयर, ठीक है, बिकॉज रिलीजियस रेस्ट्रेंट्स आ जाते हैं। इस्लाम के बारे में मैं उतने अच्छे से नहीं जानता हूँ जितने अच्छे से आप जानते हैं, व्हाट आर दी थिंग्स दैट हैपन। ओके, सो सिमिलरली अगर हम देखें तो हम 4 कास्ट में डिवाइड करते हैं, ब्राह्मण, क्षत्रिय, वैश्य, शूद्र। बट ब्राह्मण भी अलग अलग होते हैं, जैसे कोई गौर ब्राह्मण है, कोई शर्मा ब्राह्मण है, कोई भारद्वाज ब्राह्मण है। सो ये है क्लैंस, ठीक है। अब इसमें भी आगे चल के आप देखोगे कि जो आपकी वैदिक सोसाइटी है दैट इज नॉट एन एग्रेरियन सोसाइटी, वो नोमैड्स थे जो सेंट्रल एशिया से आए और उनके लिए सबसे ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट होता था कैटल, ठीक है, यानी कि गाय भैंसे ये सबसे ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट होती थी। तो हम जब बात करते हैं अपने उसकी कास्ट की, तो उसमें एक टर्म भी आता है गोत्र, सुना है गोत्र?
So we are going to this thing.
हाँ, so that word gotra comes from the word go, means cow, ठीक है। एंड इवन किसी जो गेस्ट होता था उसके लिए वर्ड यूज हुआ है गो गगना। नाउ द वैदिक पीपल यूज टू ईट काउ मीट, ठीक है। अब अगर आप वैसे आज बीजेपी के आगे जाके बोल दोगे तो इट विल बिकम अ कंट्रोवर्सी, बट यस इन वेदास वी हैव फाउंड वर्ड्स गो गगना मींस गेस्ट in whose honor cow was to be slaughtered, या उसका मीट बनता था गेस्ट के आने पे। बट देन वो चेंज क्यों हुआ वो भी देखेंगे कि हाउ द हिंदू रिलीजन और वैदिक रिलीजन बिकम काउ प्रोटेक्टिव, ठीक है। सो विज इज अ लार्जर यूनिट, ग्रामणी और ग्रामणी लीडर ऑफ द विलेज होता था, जन और ट्राइब वाज द हाईएस्ट पॉलिटिकल यूनिट, and slowly and gradually this become a kingship form of system. And the Rigvedic polity was normally monarchical and succession was hereditary, बाप के बाद बेटा राजा बनता था। The king was assisted by purohit or priest and senani or commander of the army in his administration. दो पॉपुलर बॉडीज जो होती थी गांव में वो होती थी सभा एंड समिति। सभा होती थी काउंसिल ऑफ इंपॉर्टेंट पीपल इन द विलेज, एंड समिति यूज्ड टू बी द जनरल असेंबली ऑफ द एंटायर विलेज, ठीक है। तो थोड़ा बहुत डेमोक्रेटिक ट्रेडिशन भी है। When we talk about social life, patriarchal society है, male dominated society है, family और family is the basic unit of society। गृहपति, गृहपति नाम से ही बता रहा है कि गांव मतलब फैमिली का जो हेड होगा वो गृहपति है। मोनोगामी was generally practiced, लोग एक ही शादी करते थे, बट कई केसेस में you will find polygamy was also done, that people used to marry more than one woman. Women in early Vedic age were given equal opportunities for growth and development, but this will change in the later Vedic age. No child marriage or sati, eating of cow's meat was prohibited. Now this is not correct, okay. Initially in early Vedic age, cow meat was used or cattle meat was used. I am not saying cow, but because that can be controversial, but cattle meat was used, or cattle was used for meat and milk products both. Chariot racing, horse racing, music and dance were pastimes. So chariots were, if you see the Indus Valley civilization, we don't found any chariots. रथ हमें देखने को नहीं मिलते हैं, but when Vedic civilization आने के बाद we found the coming up of the chariots or रथ. Social divisions उतने rigid नहीं थे earlier period में. There is in one of the Veda it is written that I am a musician, my father is a physicist and my mother is a corn grower, ऐसा करके भी एक है. So basically ये जो system है caste system का वो fix नहीं था. It used to dependent upon your ability or the kind of work that you used to do. Okay, और जैसे मैंने बोला economic condition, majority of the people were pastoral and their main occupation was cattle rearing. Wealth was estimated in terms of cattle. यानी कि जैसे बाद में अगर आप देखेंगे लैंड विल बिकम द सोर्स ऑफ प्रॉपर्टी। वैदिक अर्ली वैदिक एज में कैटल या जिसके पास ज्यादा गाय हैं या कैटल है वो ज्यादा अमीर होता था, एंड देयर यूज्ड टू बी फ्रीक्वेंट रेड्स ऑन ईच अदर टू गेट द कैटल, ठीक है। When they permanently settled in North India, then they began to practice agriculture. There were other occupations like carpentry and other things. Trade, river served as the important means of trade. Trade was conducted on barter system. they worship natural forces like, और उस जमाने में अगर आप देखेंगे तो ज्यादातर भगवान जो है they are in the form of natural, ठीक है, जैसे कि पृथ्वी, अग्नि, वायु, Indra, the god of rain. Important Rigvedic gods were Prithvi, Agni, Vayu, Varuna and Indra. Female gods भी हैं Aditi and Usha. इसके अलावा सोम भी है एक god. No temples or idol worship, but you will not find any temples or idols dedicated to these gods. Prayer were offered to gods in the expectations of rewards, ghee, milk and grain as offerings. Okay. Later Vedic period is from 1000 BC to 600 BCE. The Aryan moves further in the Indian subcontinent and now they will settle into the North Gangetic plains. The Satpatha Brahmana, which is a text, refers to the expansion of Aryans to the Eastern Gangetic plains. और अब आप देखोगे they will now be divided into several tribal groups and kingdoms. Growth of large kingdoms, slowly and gradually they will start developing large kingdoms like Kuru and Panchala. And this was, ये Kuru and Panchala आपने महाभारत में पढ़ा होगा कि पांचाल के बेटे थे या कुंती के 5 पुत्र पांडव, right? So then you will see other kingdoms coming into being like Kosala, Kashi and Videha. The famous ruler of Kashi was Ajatashatru. Janak was the king of Videha. Now if you remember, Janak was the father of, रामायण में पढ़ा होगा, जनक किसका फादर था? Yes, Sita.
Sita.
Yes. So you see now, देखिए, already Ramayana and Mahabharata has already been written in the early Vedic age, but the name of the cities is coming after. So that is why those parts have been added to Ramayana or Mahabharata. ठीक है? ऐसा नहीं है that they were written in the early Vedic age. There were changes or additions made to those texts even in the later Vedic age. Magadha, Anga and Vanga seem to be the easternmost tribal kingdoms. Later Vedic text India को 3 parts में divide करते हैं. Aryavarta is the northern part, Madhya Desha is the central plateau and Dakshinapatha, which is the southern part. Political organization, well, later Vedic में देखोगे large kingdoms were formed and royal power increased. Janpadas or Rashtras were also there, or you can say republics. Kim performed various rituals and sacrifices. अब देखिए later Vedic age में क्या change होता है कि Vedic age में भी जो society थी was divided into 4 parts, but that was not fixed. But in the later Vedic age, this structure of the society, Brahmin, Kshatriya and Vaishya Sudra, will become fixed, and Brahmins will use their knowledge to dominate the society. Now they will say that Brahmins will always remain on the top, and the Kshatriyas, they can rule, they will protect the society, but without the consent of the Brahmin, they can also not rule. Because जो भी sacrifices या rituals है, जिसे यज्ञ बोलते हैं, ठीक है, आज भी अगर आप देखेंगे तो किसी के मरने पे, किसी के पैदा होने पे, you have to call a Brahmin. Now this system was started in the Vedic society, but later Vedic society में Brahmins ने इसको इस तरीके से mold किया that they will be dominating the society. Okay, and there were many sacrifices which were introduced. Like there were small yajna and mahayajna. Small yajna घर पे कर सकता था कोई भी गृहपति or the house owner, and mahayajna were done by kings like Rajasuya Yajna, which was consecration ceremony, means जब कोई राजा बनता था तो राज तिलक होता था. Then there was Ashwamedha, सुना होगा रामायण में अश्वमेध यज्ञ करवाता है राम. Horse sacrifice होती थी, ये भी कई दिनों तक चलता था, 1-1 साल तक ये चलते थे. And Vajpaya Yajna, जिसमें chariot race होता था, again it used to go along for 1 year. So अगर आप देखेंगे ना, so later Vedic religion में बहुत सारा you can say corruption आ गया था, and it was dominated by the Brahmins. और उसके result आप देखोगे, you will find the emergence of new religions like Jainism, and Jainism और parallel उसके साथ कौन सा religion था?
Buddhism.
Yes, Buddhism, very good. Okay, so upper level पे administration जो है उसके लिए पुरोहित है, सेनानी है, ग्रामणी है. सेनानी is the military commander. They also include treasury officer, tax collector, and royal messenger. Administration at the lower levels was carried on by the village assemblies or Gram Sabha and Gram Samiti. But later Vedic period mein their importance will reduce. Economic condition.
So, I need to vacate.
हाँ बस एक बार वैदिक एज खत्म कर लें, ठीक है. Now they started using iron, but mainly iron was started using by 600 BCE. ठीक है, तो 600 BCE में जाके at the end of the later Vedic age you will start finding the use of iron. And because of iron, from 600 BCE we call it the period of second civilization, second urbanization in India. पहला urbanization कब देखा था हमने? फर्स्ट अर्बनाइजेशन. कभी शहर देखे अभी तक जितना हमने अभी किया है कवर? सिटीज की बात करी हो? इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन, देयर वर सिटीज.
Harappan civilization, Mohenjo.
यस, वेरी गुड. हु इज दिस? बेटा नाम बताओ अपना.
So Devansh.
Okay, very good, Devansh. Yes, the first urbanization in India was Indus Valley civilization, and the second urbanization in India will happen in 6 BC, 6th century BC or 600 BCE. Agriculture in the later Vedic age. In early Vedic age, cattle rearing or pastoral society was the main occupation. In the later Vedic age, agriculture will become the chief occupation. क्रॉप्स वही उगाई जाएंगी जो इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन में थी. बाले, राइस, व्हीट, मिलेट्स, ग्राम, पीस. नॉलेज ऑफ मेन्योर वाज एन इंप्रूवमेंट. फॉरेन ट्रेड भी अब इस टाइम पे दोबारा से बढ़ना शुरू होता है. अगर आप देखें, इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन वाज एन अर्बन सोसाइटी, बट जब आर्यंस इंडिया आते हैं, आर्यंस वर नॉट अर्बन, दे वर पैस्टरलिस्ट, नोमैड्स. एक जगह से दूसरी जगह अपने जानवर लेके चलते थे बस. ओके, अब अगर आप देखेंगे, एक क्लास ऑफ हेरिडिटरी मर्चेंट्स भी एग्जिस्ट करेगी जिन्हें वानिया बोला जाएगा, हु विल बिलोंग टू द वैश्य कास्ट. तो ये वनिया से आ गया. यस, व्हाट मर्चेंट्स, मर्चेंट सोसाइटी ग्रुप इन इंडियन सोसाइटी क्या बोलते हैं? हाँ जी, बनिया. ये है तनिया. Okay, Vaishyas carried on trade and commerce in guilds known as Ganas, और बाद में जाके बनेगी श्रेणीज. Social life, there were 4 divisions of the society, 2 classes, बहुत privilege enjoy करते हैं, Brahmins and Kshatriyas. Vaishyas as the class of merchants, peasants and other people. Shudras were meant to serve these 2 classes. Patriarchy or male dominated society थी, women had no political rights. But in the early Vedic age, they had political rights and they had a much improved status in the society. But during the later Vedic age, it degraded. Okay. Religion, early Vedic nature, gods lost their importance. जो पहले के भगवान थे जैसे कि विष्णु, इंद्र, वरुण, वायु, अग्नि, पृथ्वी, आकाश, इनकी इंपॉर्टेंस कम होती चली जाएगी. And now you will see the emergence of Trinity. Brahma, the creator or Prajapati, Vishnu, the protector of the whole earth, and Rudra or Shiva, the destroyer. Sacrifices became important and rituals more elaborate. अब prayer या self connectivity जो है वो reduce होती जा रही है. Now they are saying कि only a Brahmin, by doing certain rituals and elaborate performing sacrifices, only then you will get the blessings of the god. Okay, so which leads to the rise of Buddhism and Jainism. Okay, now there are Upavedas and associated Vedas. In Rig Veda you will find Ayurveda, which also has medicine. Samved क्योंकि music से related है, so Gandharva Veda, Dhanur Veda and Yajur Veda, and Atharveda में है Atharveda or the school of science. Now these are the school of Indian philosophies or darshanas. Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Darshana, Vedant, Rigvedic name of Indian rivers. You can just go through it. Okay, we'll take a 7 minutes break. We'll start at 1:10. We'll start with Jainism and Buddhism. Okay, 7 minutes.
Starting में ना जब history लिखवा रहे थे तो फिर उसके वजह से in fact I really like history. I love commerce.
कौन सा?
So Muradabad.
Okay, Muradabad, UP. So you have come here for preparation. Okay. So staying with relatives.
No PG.
Okay.
It's like
So,
allowed.
कवर तो आप ही को करना पड़ेगा, ठीक है? I know that this is not, it is not covering the whole of the syllabus. This is still less. So what you will have to do is you will have to find time to go through your class 6 NCERT, 7th NCERT for medieval India. Okay, तो करना तो पड़ेगा. You will have to get time.
I can understand it, but क्या क्या याद करें वो मैंने पढ़ ना कि बहुत सा we have just covered a part of the PPT and it seems to me a lot as of now.
कोई बात नहीं. I'll find some solution. I'll try to make some short notes which can be shared with you.
So what can you do now?
It's for 2 hours.
So
Yes.
वहां से देख लीजिए कोई बच्चा एंट्री कर रहा होता है.
ठीक है, okay.
वहाँ पर जब लोग क्लास में
Okay, Jasleen, are you able to understand? Or have you just joined?
No, sir, I was there since beginning.
Okay, so are you able to understand what is going on in the class?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Ira, have you just joined?
No, sir, I was here.
Okay, so who has joined
I
recently?
joined. So because of network issue, I had to leave the meeting.
Okay, okay. All right. So we are just taking a break because these students who were here, they were since here from morning.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So you guys also been taking class since 10 a.m. in the morning?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but the thing is that you are there taking it online, so you are there at home, you can have something to eat, you can stretch yourself while listening to the class. Water? Okay, just yeah, go straight. Okay, we'll start with the rise of Jainism and Buddhism. Okay. Okay, so we'll see that in response to the later Vedic or Brahmanical domination, we'll see the emergence of heterodox sects. Okay, like there were more than 100 sects which emerged during this period, but only 2 out of them will become major religions. So these were the Jains and the Jainism or Buddhism. Now, what were the causes? The primary cause of the religious factor was the religious unrest in India in the 6th century BCE. Now, what was the religious unrest? That the complex rituals and sacrifices which were forced upon the people in the later Vedic period became unacceptable to the common people. The sacrificial ceremonies जो उनसे करवाई जाती थी या बोली जाती थी करने के लिए, they were very expensive and not everyone could afford it. But that was the only way for salvation. अगर आपको मुक्ति चाहिए या अगले जन्म में अच्छा चाहिए या भगवान को खुश करना, so you had to do those sacrifices. The superstitious beliefs and mantra confused the people. And the teaching of Upanishads were very complex and the people could not easily understood them. And एक और चीज जो थी, देखिए, for to understand something you have to be literate. But Brahmins ने क्या रखा? Knowledge अपने पास रखी सारी. They did not disseminate it amongst the masses. उन्होंने उनके साथ distribute या share नहीं किया. So that's why the masses were illiterate. Okay. What was needed in the larger interest of people? A simple, short and intelligent way for the salvation of people. ऐसी religious teachings जो सब समझ सके, और ये वो time period भी था. अब आप देखोगे जो Jain और Buddhism है, they emphasize more on that you should not kill, you should take a right path, you should do not lie, you should not cheat. So during the later Vedic age, the society became very materialistic. So these 2 religions were in response to that materialistic society. Okay. Social and economic factors. Rigid caste system was prevalent in India, which generated tensions in the society because the 2 castes were at the bottom of the society. Higher classes enjoyed certain privileges which were denied to the lower classes. The Kshatriyas also resented the domination of the priestly class, though the Kshatriyas are also enjoying privileges. अगर आप देखें तो Jainism and Buddhism दोनों क्षत्रियों ने शुरू किया है, right? Who was the founder of Buddhism? किसने शुरू किया था Buddhism?
Gautam Buddha.
Yes, Gautam Buddha. He himself belonged to the Kshatriya clan and the founder of Jainism. But then there are 24 Tirthankara in Jain religion, out of which the last Tirthankara was Mahavira. So Mahavira himself belonged to the Kshatriya region. And there is another reason also, which was the growth of trade, which led to the improvement in the economic condition of the Vaishyas or the merchant class. And now they also started resenting the privileges which were enjoyed by the Brahmins. So the Vaishyas or the merchant group also wanted to enhance their social status, but the orthodox Varna system did not allow this. So they began converting to Jainism and Buddhism. Okay, life of Vardhaman Mahavira. He was a 24th Tirthankara. इससे पहले सबसे पहले तीर्थांकरा थे Parshavnath. 23rd Tirthankara was Rishabhnath. So उनका प्रोफाइल देख लेना कहाँ पैदा हुए. And because he attained the highest spiritual knowledge, तो उसको बोलते हैं Jinnah. So that's why from that word Jinnah, the followers of his came to be called as Jains. Okay. His followers were called Jain and the religion became Jainism. He preached his doctrines for 13 years and died at the age of 72. Teachings of Mahavira क्या है? 3 Ratna पे based है. What are the 3 Ratnas? Right faith, right knowledge and right conduct. Belief in the teachings and wisdom of Mahavira. Right knowledge that there is no God and the world has been existing without a creator and everything possesses soul. Then right conduct, नो, नॉट टू इंजर एनीवन, किसी की जान नहीं लेनी है, नॉट टू लाई, नॉट टू स्टील, नॉट टू एक्वायर प्रॉपर्टी, नॉट टू लीड एन इमोरल लाइफ, नॉट टू यूज फोन ड्यूरिंग द क्लास। राइट कंडक्ट का पार्ट है, ठीक है। ओके, अदर टीचिंग्स, स्ट्रिक्टली फॉलो द डॉक्ट्रिन ऑफ अहिंसा। और जैन में भी अगर आप देखेंगे तो दो तरीके के जैन आपको मिलेंगे, द श्वेतांबर्स एंड द पितांबर्स। ओके, Mahavira, he rejected the authority of the Vedas and objected to the Vedic rituals. एक बहुत ही होली पवित्र जिंदगी जीने की बात कर रहे हैं विद एन एथिकल कोड ऑफ लाइफ। यहाँ तक कि जो जैन हैं वो एग्रीकल्चर भी नहीं कर सकते, बिकॉज अगर एग्रीकल्चर करेंगे, प्लोइंग करेंगे, तो उसमें जो माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म, जो छोटे मोटे कीड़े होंगे वो मर जाएंगे। इसलिए अगर आप देखेंगे ज्यादातर पीपल who are from the Jain community are involved in trading and merchant activities. ठीक है?
So how did they took bath or wash their hands and all that?
How do they
Took bath or wash their hands and all those activities.
yeah, they have to be very concerned about they cannot kill anyone. इसलिए अगर आप देखेंगे तो जैन में आप अगर फूड भी उनका देखें, it will not include many things like onion or garlic, ठीक है, because these foods are considered as tamasic, that they initiate wrong desires in you, so they even don't take that, ठीक है। तो इसीलिए they were not allowed to practice agriculture even, because it was considered sinful as it causes injury to the earth or the worms and animals. And इसमें भी दो तरीके के हैं, श्वेतांबर and पितांबर. Now श्वेतांबर are those who wear white clothes, and you might have seen some nude Jains walking on the street in a procession. So those are pitambars. Okay, so they cannot even wear cloth. So Mahavira organized the Sangha to spread his teachings. He admitted both women and men. It spread rapidly all over India. Even Chandragupta Maurya himself became a Jain ascetic at the end of his life or during the end of his years. Division. Okay, yes. As I was talking about, Shwetambars, white clad, जो white कपड़े पहनते हैं, and Dingambars, sky clad or naked. मतलब उनके लिए जो आसमान है वही उनकी चादर है. That's what they believe is. Okay. So you remember this two sects, Shwetambars and Pitambars. First Jain council, जहाँ पे सारे Jain scholars मिले होंगे. It was held at Patliputra in 3rd century BCE, which was the capital of Mauryan Empire. Second Jain council held at Vallabhi in 1512 CE, and final compilation of 12 Angas and Upangas. So this is the Jain literature. Now Siddhartha, he was born in Lumbini, near Kapilavastu in Nepal. His father was the Shuddhodhan of the Sakya clan and mother Maya Devi, but his mother died at a very young age, so he was brought up by his aunt Prajapati Gautami. 16 साल की उम्र में शादी होती है यशोधरा से, and he gave birth to a son called Rahul. फिर वो चार चीजें देखता है अपनी जिंदगी में. एक बूढ़े व्यक्ति को देखता है कि उसकी उम्र होती जा रही है, वो बूढ़ा होता जा रहा है. उसके बाद फिर he sees a deceased man, बीमार आदमी, एक corpse, एक लाश, and an ascetic, एक सन्यासी को देखता है, और उसकी वजह से his whole heart changed and he left his home at the age of 29 in search of truth. फिर कई साल तपस्या करने के बाद अंडर अ बोधि ट्री एट बोध गया, उन्हें एनलाइटनमेंट होता है, या he gains a supreme knowledge or nirvana at the age of 35. उसके बाद से he was called as Buddha or the enlightened one. तो चार जगह बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है बुद्धा की लाइफ में. पहला जहां वो पैदा हुए, he was born in Lumbini. Second, where he attained enlightenment, that was at Bodh Gaya. He delivered his first lecture or first sermon at Sarnath near Banaras, and then finally he died at, where did he died at the age of 80 at Kushinagar. Okay, so North India में बहुत सारे जगह घूमे वो, और बहुत सारी उनकी कहानियां भी फेमस हैं. Now teachings of Buddha, according to Buddha, we should follow the Four Noble Truths. ठीक है, बहुत अच्छी 4 नोबल ट्रूथ है दैट द वर्ल्ड इज फुल ऑफ सफरिंग। इस दुनिया में जब से आप आते हो, पैदा होते हो, दैट यू हैव टू सफर। नाउ हर सफरिंग के पीछे कोई रीजन होता है, कोई कॉज होता है, उस कॉज को आप रोक सकते हो, सेसेशन, ठीक है। और उस सेसेशन के लिए आपको क्या करना पड़ेगा, उस निरोध के लिए, उसको रोकने के लिए यू विल हैव टू फॉलो अ पाथ। सो सबसे पहला है दुखा। दुख का रीजन है, रीजन को उस लैंग्वेज में क्या है बोला, कॉज को, okay, I'm forgetting the word which is used in the Buddhist language. So dukha, uske baad uska cause hai, then you can nirodh or cessation, and the cessation can only happen by following the eightfold path. Now what is the eightfold path? Right view, right conduct, right mindfulness, right concentration, right effort, right livelihood, right speech. जब आप ये करोगे तो आपकी जिंदगी में कोई दुख नहीं होगा, यू विल अटेन निर्वाण, मोक्ष, ठीक है। नहीं आ रहा ना समझ में, थोड़ा थोड़ा ज्यादा हो गया, ठीक है, ओके, कोई बात नहीं यार, मतलब देख करना तो पड़ेगा, बिकॉज वी हैव एंशिएंट इंडिया, वी हैव मिडिवल इंडिया एंड मॉडर्न इंडिया, तो but yes, you revise it. If you want, we can again discuss it in the next class whenever we will be having that. Okay, you take the notes, sir will give you the printouts, okay, or he will send it in the group, so you revise it. If you are not able to understand, you bring doubts, okay. Buddha neither accepts God nor rejects the existence of God. His teaching, let's see, his emphasis is on the karma. Whatever you will do, it will come back to you. He argued that the condition of man depends upon his own deeds. Like you will only harvest what you will. Yes. देख भाई, सीधी सी बात है, पहली चीज कॉन्फिडेंस। नहीं भी आता ना आंसर, कहीं इंटरव्यू देने जाओगे नहीं भी आता, पूरे कॉन्फिडेंस से गलत बोलो, एग्जैक्टली, यस, ठीक है। He taught that the soul does not exist. However, again, Buddha also emphasized ahimsa. He did not make a direct attack on the caste system, but he was against social distinctions, and his religion was open to everyone. Anybody can join it. Therefore, Buddhism was a more social than religious revolution. It taught the code of practical ethics and laid down the principle of social equality. So basically, Buddhism and Jainism both were, you can say, a reaction against the Brahmanical domination in the later Vedic age. वो society को reform करना चाहते हैं instead of starting up a new religion. Okay? Spread of Buddhism, दो तरीके के लोग होते हैं। एक होता है monks जो monastery join कर लेते हैं, आजीवन सन्यासी रहेंगे या bachelor रहेंगे, and lay worshippers or upasikas. Sangha organized by the monks for spreading their teachings. Membership सबको ओपन थी, मेल और फीमेल, विदाउट एनी कास्ट रेस्ट्रिक्शंस। फेमस मॉन्क्स बहुत सारे हैं, ठीक है। प्रोग्रेस, ओके, ठीक है। After 200 years after the death of Buddha, the famous Mauryan emperor Ashoka embraced Buddhism. Transformation from a local religious sect into a world religion spread into the other parts all over the world. अगर आप देखेंगे तो बहुत सारे Chinese travelers India आते हैं, and they carried the ideas of Buddhism along with them, and many Buddhist monks from India went to other parts of the world. Similarly, first Buddhist council was held at Rajgriha after the death of Buddha. Second Buddhist council was convened at Vaishali around 383 BC. There are 4 Buddhist councils held in different areas, so you can go through them. 3 Pitakas. So how do we know about the Buddhism or the sayings of the Buddha? So we have 3 Pitakas. These are the Buddhist texts: Sutta Pitaka, sayings of the Buddha; Vinaya Pitakas, and Abhidhamma Pitakas. And they were all written in the Pali language. Causes for the decline of Buddhism in India? Yes, when देखिए किसी भी धर्म को अगर लगता है कि मेरा नुकसान हो रहा है और I am losing my followers, so they bring reforms. वी आर नॉट डूइंग यूरोपियन हिस्ट्री, बट यूरोप में भी ऐसा ही हुआ 14th सेंचुरी में, जब यूरोप में चर्च बहुत ज्यादा करप्शन हो गया था, तो आप देखोगे रिफॉर्मेशन होता है 15th सेंचुरी में, लोग चर्च के खिलाफ हो जाते हैं, उसके बाद चर्च अपने अंदर सुधार करता है। या मान लेते हैं वेरी इन सिंपल लेमैन टर्म्स, अगर कोई मान लो एक मिठाई वाला है, उसकी मिठाई बहुत ज्यादा बिक रही है, a lot of people are buying it, और फिर वो उसमें थोड़ी सी मिलावट करना शुरू कर दे और उसकी डिमांड अगर कम हो जाए, what will happen? So he will again try to improve his quality so that he can get his customers back. So same happened with Brahmanism, कि जहां पे पहले बहुत ज्यादा कैटल सैक्रिफाइसेस थे, बहुत सारे रिचुअल्स थे, अब वो खत्म करेंगे, वो बोलेंगे कि काऊ को तो प्रोटेक्ट करना है, जो अभी भी चल रहा है, ठीक है। The revival of Brahmanism and the rise of Bhagavatism led to the fall of popularity of Buddhism. And क्योंकि बुद्धिज्म की वजह से क्या था, जो हिंदू राजा थे वो भी कहीं ना कहीं they were not able to come into the mainstream, so they will start propagating the Hindu religion or Brahmanism. Actually Hinduism as such कोई religion नहीं होता है, पता है ये बात? Okay, Hinduism as such कोई religion नहीं है, Hinduism is it's a way of life, ठीक है, because Hinduism word comes from the river Sindhu, कि जब Iranians यहाँ पे आए, उन्होंने बोला कि अच्छा सिंधु नदी है, so जो भी सिंधु नदी, but they do not have S in their language, okay, so it becomes Hindu instead of Sindhu, so from there comes the word Hinduism, but the religion is Sanatan Dharma or Brahmanism, ठीक है। Okay, and earlier in Buddhism there are two sects, जैसे आपने जैन में पढ़ा था श्वेतांबर पीतांबर, वैसे ही बुद्धिज्म में है Hinayana and Mahayana. Mahayana is the greater cycle and Hinayana is the lesser cycle. एक मिनट, हेलो, okay, okay, contribution of Buddhism to Indian culture, सबसे पहला important contribution है the अहिंसा, and stupas at Sanchi, Bharut and Gaya are wonderful pieces of architecture. Buddhism takes the credit for the chaityas and viharas in different parts of India. Ajanta and Ellora caves के बारे में सुना है? Yes, they were carved out by the Buddhist monks, ठीक है, these were the places where they used to meditate and they used to live, so chaityas and viharas. And there were many universities which were established by Buddhists, like the University of Takshila, Nalanda and Vikramshila. Okay, so these are the Buddhist universities established by the following rulers. Okay, अब ना थोड़ा बेसिक बता देता हूँ। 6th century BCE के बाद से इमर्ज करते हैं जनपदास and Mahajanpadas. Now, what were these? Some of these were ruled by monarchs, and some of these were ruled by oligarchy or republic. ठीक है, so the Buddhist literature में हमें 16 kingdoms या 16 महाजनपदास के बारे में पता चलता है। अंगा, मगध, काशी, कौशला, वजी, मल्ला, चेड़ी, वत्सा, कुरु, पंचाला, मत्स्य, सुरसेना, ये 16 हमें महाजनपदास बुद्धिस्ट टेक्स्ट में मिलती है। इसके अलावा भी हैं छोटी छोटी और, यानी कि now the India is getting divided into small kingdoms ruled by different monarchs या फिर republics हैं, okay? और उसमें से कुछ बहुत बड़ी बड़ी किंगडम्स भी है, जैसे वत्सा, अवंती, कौशला एंड मगध। तो इनके आप देख लेना कि कहाँ लोकेटेड है आज की डेट में मॉडर्न डे में, जैसे कि वत्सा की अगर हम बात करें तो यमुना के बैंक पे है। कैपिटल कौशाम्बी थी नियर इलाहाबाद। मोस्ट पॉपुलर रूलर, बाद में इसे अवंती ने एनेक्स कर लिया। अवंती की कैपिटल उज्जैन है। कौशला कैपिटल अयोध्या। मगध जो है वो आगे चल के बनेगी मौर्यन एम्पायर का बेस। ये छोड़ दो आप, ये मत करना, बस एक बार रीड कर लेना, ठीक है। विल डू ओके, मत नंदा डायनेस्टी तो करना पड़ेगा। ओके बाद में कुछ डायनेस्टीज के बाद नंदा डायनेस्टी आती है एंड स्टार्ट्स रूलिंग ओवर मगध। इसका रीच जो है वो बियॉन्ड द बाउंड्रीज ऑफ गैंगेटिक बेसिन जाता है, बाकी सारी डायनेस्टीज को हरा देता है। एंड दिस वाज द लास्ट हिंदू डायनेस्टी। इसके बाद क्या होता है कि जो लास्ट नंदा रूलर है वो चंद्रगुप्त मौर्य जो है वो उसकी मदर को इंसल्ट करता है। So to take revenge, Chandragupta Maurya usurps the Nanda dynasty with the help of a Brahmin scholar who is popularly known as Kautilya. या और क्या नाम है कौटिल्य का? और भी एक नाम है, यस कौन बताएगा? Who wrote अर्थशास्त्र?
Chanakya.
Yes, चाणक्य, ठीक है। So चाणक्य is the other name for कौटिल्य। So चाणक्य की मदद से चंद्रगुप्त मौर्य नंदा डायनेस्टी को हराता है। बट इस टाइम पे अगर हम एंशिएंट टाइम की बात करें तो दो डायनेस्टीज थी यूरोप में, यूरोप और एशिया में। एक तरफ था ग्रीक एम्पायर और दूसरी तरफ थी पर्शियन एम्पायर। तो दोनों में टैसल चलता रहता है। 300 देखी है? नहीं देखी, कोई बात नहीं। तो इसमें जो सबसे इनकी लड़ाई वगैरह चलती रहती है। तो ऐसे ही कुछ राजा जो है वो इंडिया आते हैं। डेरियस वन, ही कॉन्कर्ड द इंडस वैली इन 1518 BCE। ओके, एंड इट बिकम अ पार्ट ऑफ हिज एम्पायर। बाद में ज़र्क्सीज जो है वो अपनी पोजीशन को इंप्रूव करता है। नाउ फाइनली अलेक्जेंडर कम टू इंडिया। अलेक्जेंडर के बारे में सुना होगा, सिकंदर महान, जिसने पूरी दुनिया को जीतना था। सो वो पूरे यूरोप को जीतते हुए, पर्शियन एम्पायर को जीतते हुए पहुंचता है इंडिया। ओके, एंड देयर कहते हैं कि ही डिफीटेड द पोरस, द रूलर ऑफ पंजाब। उसको हरा दिया था, बट ही ट्रीटेड हिम विद रिस्पेक्ट बिकॉज ऑफ हिज ब्रेवरी इन द बैटल। एंड फाइनली एट द बैटल ऑफ हाइडास्पिस, okay, in 327 BCE, Alexander crossed the Hindu Kush mountains and spent nearly 10 months fighting with the tribes. Crossed the Indus in February 26 BCE, and but Porus refused to submit in front of him and decided to fight against Alexander. He marched from Taxila to the banks of the river Hydaspes. ठीक है, झेलम को ग्रीक लैंग्वेज में हाइडास्पिस कहा गया है। But his army refused from continuing onwards. वो चाहता था इंडिया को भी जीतना, बट उसकी आर्मी ने जाने से मना कर दिया। Alexander could not persuade them and therefore decided to return. जाते जाते उसने क्या किया, अपने मिलिट्री कमांडर्स को अलग अलग टेरिटरीज दे दी कि आप इनको कंट्रोल करो। That's why you will see influence of Greek culture, और ग्रीक को हेलेनिस्टिक कल्चर भी कहा है। उसका इन्फ्लुएंस आपको इंडिया में बहुत देखने को मिलेगा, एंड बुद्धिज्म पे भी मिलेगा। बुद्धिज्म जो आर्ट है उसके भी 3 स्कूल्स हैं। कौन कौन से? किसने बोला? किसने कुछ नहीं बोला? ओके, कोई बात नहीं। गंधारा, मथुरा एंड अमरावती। सो गंधारा अगर आप आर्किटेक्चर देखोगे बुद्धिज्म का, तो उसमें जो भी बुद्धा का स्कल्पचर बनाया हुआ है, दैट इज अकॉर्डिंग टू द ग्रीक स्टैंडर्ड्स। ठीक है, एक बार दिखा देते हैं। ओके, ओके, अब यहाँ पे अगर आप देखें तो गंधारा स्कूल ऑफ आर्ट में बुद्धिज्म में जो बुद्धा को दिखाया गया है, ही शोन एज इफ वो ग्रीक है। मतलब उसका जो स्कल्पचर है वो ग्रीक फेशियल हेयर स्टाइल वगैरह दिखाए हुए हैं उसके, ठीक है। यस, देखिए, ओके, तो दिस इज गंधारा स्कूल ऑफ आर्ट। और अगर मथुरा और अमरावती देखोगे तो बिल्कुल अलग है इससे, बट उतना डिटेल अभी नहीं करते हैं। ओके, जब वो वापस लौट रहा था 300 यहाँ से, इंडिया से जब वापस आ रहा था, तो उसकी तबीयत बहुत खराब हो गई बेबीलोन में, एंड ही फेल सीरियसली इल एंड डाइड इन 323 BC। इफेक्ट्स क्या थे अलेक्जेंडर के? इंडियन राजाओं को ये रियलाइज हुआ कि अगर हम पॉलिटिकली यूनिफाइड नहीं होंगे, सो कोई भी बाहर से आके यहाँ पे अपना रूल एस्टैब्लिश कर सकता है। So the system of small independent states came to an end, but also opened land and sea routes for India and Europe. ठीक है, it paved for the direct contact between India and Greeks, और उसकी फौज में से बहुत सारे ग्रीक सोल्जर्स इंडिया में ही सेटल हो गए, they got married here. The routes opened by him and his naval expeditions increased the existing facilities for trade between India and West Asia. Mauryan Empire 323 BC, चंद्रगुप्त मौर्य जो है वो नंदा डायनेस्टी का तख्ता पलट करेगा और खुद राजा बन जाएगा and establishes Mauryan dynasty. You can say this will be the first empire of India. ठीक है, Mauryan Empire was the largest empire and मुगल एम्पायर से भी बड़े एरिया को कॉन्कर कर रखा था। कौटिल्याज अर्थशास्त्र और मौर्यन एम्पायर के बारे में पढ़ने के लिए हमारे पास दो सबसे अच्छे रिसोर्सेज हैं, एक है कौटिल्य या चाणक्य का अर्थशास्त्र, एंड द सेकंड वन इज, उसका भी नाम इसमें होगा कहीं स्लाइड में, Megasthenes Indica. Now Megasthenes was a Greek philosopher, Greek scholar who came to India. He lived in the court of Chandragupta Maurya and wrote a book, Indica, and from there comes the word India. Okay. इसके अलावा विशाखदत्ता का मुद्राराक्षा भी है। ये एक it's a play written by Vishakadatta telling about how Chandragupta Maurya, with the help of Kautilya or a Brahmin scholar Chanakya, overthrew the Nandas, but it is written much later. It is written during the Gupta period. And it also tells us about the socio-economic condition during the Mauryas. Megasthenes Indica, he was the Greek ambassador in the court of Chandragupta Maurya. उसने बहुत अच्छे से बताया है मॉडर्न एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के बारे में, स्पेशली इन द कैपिटल सिटी ऑफ पाटलिपुत्र एंड आल्सो द मिलिट्री ऑर्गेनाइजेशन। अदर लिटरेचर्स, बुद्धिस्ट टेक्स्ट हैं उस जमाने के, बुद्धिस्ट काउंसिल्स हुई हैं, ठीक है। जातकास इज द मॉरल स्टोरी, सुना होगा जातकास के बारे में, जैसे पंचतंत्र होता है वैसे ही जातकास है, बुद्धिस्ट मॉरल स्टोरीज हैं। इसके अलावा सिलोन, श्रीलंका से भी हमें बहुत कुछ पता चलता है, क्योंकि वहां पे भी दो सेक्ट्स हैं बुद्धिज्म के, दिप्पामसा एंड महावामसा। ओके, थ्रो लाइट ऑन द रोल अशोका इन स्प्रेडिंग बुद्धिज्म इन श्रीलंका। आर्कियोलॉजिकल सोर्सेज, आपने पिलर्स देखे होंगे, या इंडिया का वो देखा है नेशनल एम्बलम क्या है?
The Ashoka Stambh, that chakra, or and that four tigers, four
lions. Yes, that has been taken from one of the pillars of Sarnath, ठीक है, that is part of the Mauryan art. और अब ना एक बहुत इंस्क्रिप्शंस में जेम्स प्रिंसेप करके एक ब्रिटिश ऑफिसर था, उसको बार बार मिल रहा है कहीं, एक बहुत बड़ा रूलर हुआ करता था देवनाम पियदासी। Now he was, but उसे ये समझ में नहीं आया था ये देवनाम पियदासी है कौन, but later on when he was able to decipher Pali language and Prakrit text, he got to know that this Devnam Piyadasi is the same ruler who had built pillars in many parts of India, extending up to Afghanistan. तो यानी कि उसकी एम्पायर का जो एक्सटेंट होगा वो सिर्फ इंडिया में नहीं है बल्कि अफगानिस्तान तक है, ठीक है, क्योंकि अफगानिस्तान में भी हमें बहुत सारी जगह अशोकन पिलर्स मिले हैं। There are 14 major rock edicts, the major pillars which were erected in important cities, जहां पे अशोका का मैसेज लिखा होता था। इसके अलावा बहुत सारी जगह माइनर रॉक एडिक्ट्स हैं, माइनर पिलर एडिक्ट्स हैं। रॉक एडिक्ट समझते क्या होता है कि किसी बहुत बड़े से पत्थर के ऊपर इंस्क्राइब कर रखा है, ओके। एंड पिलर एडिक्ट्स जो कि पिलर्स बनवा के, जो आपने देखा ही होगा। These edicts of Ashoka deal with Ashoka's dhamma and or give instructions given for the citizens and officials. 13th rock edict जो है हमें उसकी वॉर के बारे में बताता है with Kalinga. Okay, Chandragupta Maurya, founder of the Mauryan Empire, he captured Pataliputra from the last ruler of the Nanda dynasty, Dhanananda, with the help of Chanakya, Vishnugupta or Kautilya. All these three are the same person. Okay. Then he occupied the rest of the India and he marched against Alexander's generals, Seleucus Nicator. Okay. यार मीटिंग अनलॉक कर दिया करो, फिर क्या दिक्कत है? अब तो हो ही गई, ऑलमोस्ट खत्म ही है, बच्चे थक भी गए। नहीं थके? थोड़ा एक्सटेंड कर लें। ओके, एंड निकेटर ने अपनी बेटी की शादी भी कराई मौर्यन प्रिंस से। इसके साथ ही साथ मेगास्थनीज को भेजा टू द मौर्यन कोर्ट एज अ ग्रीक एम्बेसडर। ओके, बाद में जो पहले बोला था कि चंद्रगुप्त मौर्य एम्ब्रेस करेगा जैनिज्म टुवर्ड द एंड ऑफ हिज लाइफ, है ना, बोला था कि वो भी जैन बन जाता है अपनी जिंदगी में लास्ट में जाके। उसका बेटा था बिंदुसार, ग्रीक्स उसे अमृता गाथा बोलते थे। उसने मैसूर तक जीता अपने मौर्यन एम्पायर को। ओके, फिर आता है अशोक। ठीक है, आज सिर्फ मौर्यन एम्पायर तक कर लेंगे, गुप्ता एम्पायर फिर मेडिवल जब शुरू करेंगे उससे थोड़ा पहले कर लेंगे। ओके, देयर इज लिटिल इंफॉर्मेशन रिगार्डिंग द अर्ली लाइफ अशोका। उसके पहले की जिंदगी के बारे में हम कुछ नहीं जानते, बट हम ये जानते हैं कि he killed all his brothers to become the king. The most important event of Ashoka's reign was his victory in the war of Kalinga in 261 BC, जो जिसके बारे में उसने एक रॉक एडिक्ट 13 में बताया हुआ है। बट उस वॉर के बाद अशोका तो देखी होगी शाहरुख खान की पूरी? नहीं, वो भी नहीं देखी। मूवीज नहीं देखते? कौन सी मूवीज देखते हैं?
तो इस पे चैप्टर था हिंदी में हमारा, तो उसमें था कि वॉर के बाद वो पूरा ट्रांसफॉर्म हो जाता है तब
Yes, when he saw the effects of the war, कि किस तरीके से लोग मरे हुए हैं, लाशें ही लाशें हैं, जो वाइव्स हैं, मदर्स हैं, वो क्राई कर रही हैं। So he embraced Buddhism, और उसके बाद फिर वो शांति का जो संदेश है वो दुनिया तक पहुंचाना शुरू करता है and started propagating Buddhism in other parts of the world. Okay. Or at the end of his life, he also became a bhikshu or a monk. To speed up the progress of Dhamma, he also appointed special officers called Dharma Mahamatras. He sent a mission to Sri Lanka under his son Mahendra and daughter Sanghamitra, जिन्होंने वहां पे ओरिजिनल बोधि ट्री लगाया। और 10th में याद है पढ़ा था तुमने, पावर शेयरिंग पढ़ा होगा, क्लास 10 पॉलिटिकल साइंस, तो उसमें पढ़ा होगा कि 74% पॉपुलेशन जो है वो सिन्हाला है, जिनका रिलीजन बुद्धिज्म है। यस, उनके बीच में कॉन्फ्लिक्ट होता है और सिविल वॉर होती है। सो दैट इज व्हाई बिकॉज ऑफ अशोका 74 or 75% of the Sri Lankan population follows Buddhism. And a lot many Sri Lankans come to India to visit Sanchi, Sarnath, okay, all these places associated with Buddha. Ashoka convened the third Buddhist council at Pataliputra in 240 BCE. Extent of Ashoka's empire, northwestern frontier was already demarcated. इसके अलावा अशोका जो है साउथ में सिर्फ इन 3-4 एम्पायर्स को छोड़ के बाकी सारी उसका पार्ट था। According to Raj Tarangini, now this is a text written in Kashmir. Kashmir was also part of the Mauryan Empire. Nepal was also within the Mauryan Empire. Ashoka का धमा क्या है? Basically a good moral life. Ashoka का धमा जो बोलता है, it's not any धर्म. It is based on moral and social life. तो क्या होना चाहिए? देखिए, अच्छा जीवन कैसा है? माँ बाप की सेवा करें, practice of ahimsa, love of truth, reverence to teachers, and good treatment of relatives. And this everything is gone out of the society, right? Prohibition of animal sacrifices and festive gatherings, and avoiding expensive and meaningless ceremonies and rituals. कि फालतू में पैसा बर्बाद ना करें ceremonies और rituals में. Organization of administration ताकि social welfare का किया जा सके. Maintenance of constant contact with people through the system of Dhamma Yatra, यानी pilgrimage के through contact में रहें. Humane treatment of servants by masters and prisoners by government officials. Consideration and non-violence to animals and courtesy to relations and liberty to Brahmins. Liberality. Tolerance amongst religious sects, one of the most important at that point of time. अलग-अलग धर्म आपस में मिल बांट के रहे, टॉलरेंस रखे एक दूसरे की तरफ. ठीक है, टॉलरेंस समझ में आता है ना क्या है? ओके. कॉन्क्वेस्ट थ्रू धमा इंस्टेड ऑफ थ्रू वॉर. लेटर मौर्यस इतने सक्सेसफुल नहीं थे, उतने स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं थे, बट इसका सिस्टम हमें करना पड़ेगा. एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन अभी करना है, बाद में करोगे, बट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट है. ठीक है, क्योंकि कौटिल्य ने पूरा इंफॉर्मेशन दिया हुआ है कि कैसे आर्मी ऑर्गेनाइज होगी, कौन कौन से ऑफिसर्स अपॉइंट होंगे, तो वो तुम्हारे पास आ जाएगा. तो एक बार खुद से रीड कर लेना. यस, ऑनलाइन स्टूडेंट, शैल वी एंड द क्लास हियर? कैन वी?
Yes, sir.
Can we end the class here? We will do the Mauryan administration in the next class.
Okay, sir.
है ना?
Okay, sir.
ऐसा क्या फायदा कि समझ में भी ना आए और मैं बोलूं कि हो गया.
Yes, sir.
है ना? ठीक है. So we will do continue it in the next class and just go through it, revise. देखो, एक चीज मैं बोर्ड वर्क पे दिखा देता हूं तुम्हें थोड़ा कि तुम्हें मेन करना क्या है. Okay, basically what you have to do is that you have to start with Indus Valley civilization. ठीक है, अपने एग्जाम के लिए अगर मैं तुम्हारे एग्जाम के लिए बताऊं, so cover these topics thoroughly. Indus Valley civilization उससे पहले का नहीं भी करोगे, Stone Age वाला चलेगा. ठीक है, then come on to the Vedic age. Vedic age को दो पार्ट्स में डिवाइड कर लेना, अर्ली वैदिक, लेटर वैदिक. ओके, इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन का स्पैन होगा फ्रॉम 3300 BC टू 1900 BC. कोई हिस्टोरियन 1700 BC तक भी ले जाएगा उसको. वैदिक एज फ्रॉम 1500 BCE to 1000 BC and 1000 BC to 600 BC. फिर आ जाना राइज ऑफ जैनिज्म एंड बुद्धिज्म. (600 BC onwards). Then you will have the Janpadas and Mahajanpadas. बट इसे ब्रीफ में कर लेना, बहुत ज्यादा डिटेल में जाने की जरूरत नहीं है, क्योंकि बेसिकली यू कैन से दिस इज द बेस फॉर द मौर्यन एम्पायर. ओके, तो ये भी सेम टाइम पीरियड में ही हो रहा है, 600 BC onwards. Then the Mauryan Empire. (326 BC). और इसमें इसका एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन जरूर करना. ठीक है, और ये तो मैंने जब क्लास शुरू हुई थी तब भी बता दिया था. सब में पता क्या करना, मेनली कुछ फैक्ट्स तो याद करने ही पड़ेंगे, जैसे कि टाइम पीरियड कौन सा है, चाहिए तो लिख लो, बट गो थ्रू द पॉलिटिकल स्ट्रक्चर कैसा है, सोसाइटी कैसी है, रोल क्या है. ठीक है, देन इकोनॉमी, लोग क्या ऑक्यूपेशन करते हैं, पैसा कैसे आता है, ट्रेड है या नहीं है, कॉइन्स है या नहीं है. रिलीजन, पॉलिटी, सोसाइटी, इकोनॉमी, रिलीजन. और मेन तो यही चार अगर कवर कर लोगे ना अच्छे से, इन चारों के तो कवर है टॉपिक्स. ठीक है, पर हाँ पढ़ना तो पड़ेगा यार, क्योंकि बहुत टाइम पहले पढ़ा था 6th क्लास में, फिर आर्ट्स नहीं होगी कि 11th 12th में पढ़ाओ, इसलिए. क्या था, स्ट्रीम क्या थी? नाम
सर क्या
क्या बेटा?
सर आप कुछ पूछ रहे थे सर, मेरे को सुनाई नहीं दिया.
मैं ये कहता, तुझे बोर्ड दिख रहा है?
सर ये वाला पार्ट नहीं दिख रहा सर, ये 4 लिखा है वो दिखा बस.
4 लिखे वो दिख रहा है. एक मिनट रुक. अब
नहीं सर.
तो बोर्ड की है तो आप फोटो खींच के ग्रुप पे डाल सकते हो.
ठीक है, वैसे मैंने बेसिकली यार इम्पोर्टेंट टॉपिक्स लिखे हैं जो तुम्हें कवर करने हैं. ठीक है, मैं कोशिश करता हूँ, अगर तुम्हें दिख जाता है, मैं 1 मिनट रुको, ये हटा दूं. मतलब अच्छा, ओके, प्रोजेक्टर ऑफ कर देते ना. अब दिख रहा है तुम्हें?
सर एक्चुअली यहाँ इसके कैमरे में ना वो बोर्ड पूरा आ नहीं रहा है.
सर लाइट की रिफ्लेक्शन पड़ रही है सर.
लाइट की रिफ्लेक्शन भी हो रही है.
आपको बिल्कुल भी नहीं दिख
अब
सर, वो हो रहा है, रिफ्लेक्शन आ रहा है सर जो नीचे वाले पर.
ठीक है,
सर,
पिक्चर
फोटो
क्लिक
खींच
करके ग्रुप पे डाल देंगे. ठीक है,
ओके सर.
ओके, ठीक है, ओके, ऑलराइट, दैट्स इट. So Jasvi, how are you finding Delhi? How's it? ठीक है, अच्छा है, but yes, concentrate on your studies. बाकी तो सब ठीक है. All right. Okay. Bye.
थैंक यू सर.
Okay, beta. Yes, online students, you can also leave the meeting. Okay. See you in the next class.